Good afternoon. I'm Terry Kimball, President and CEO here at the Chandler Chamber, and I have with me today Joel Navarro, who is running for Maricopa County Supervisor. Welcome, Joel.
Welcome. Thank you very much for having me here.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit on why you threw your name in the hat to run for Supervisor, because Maricopa County is a big county.
Yeah, for sure it is. I think it was a lot of everything. Kind of all my passion growing up, being a civil servant, so to speak. Ever since I was a Boy Scout, ever since I became an Eagle Scout, community service was a kind of part of my blood. It kind of spilled over eventually into the fire department, where I'm presently have 29 years coming in the fire department, the fire service. But on top of that, 16 years at the Tempe City Council level. So I thought it was a great time to make a transition. Learning from the experiences that I've learned from at the council level, I want to take that over to the county level. And I think it's a great opportunity. At the time, I think this was kind of one of those races where, there was a possible, progress or a possible position for me to do this. And so far, here we are.
Good. Well, you have to want to jump into a race because there's a lot of work that has to go into it.
Absolutely.
I don't care what office you're running for, whether it's council or whatever office, it takes a lot. So let's talk a little bit about what do you think is some of the biggest or the most challenging issue that's facing Maricopa County within the next couple of years?
It's our growth. We're a very attractive county. We see a lot of businesses coming in here, which is great for us. There's great opportunity for the chambers. It's the thing that I think we've done well is manage that growth. I want to continue managing that growth. I want to make sure that we're doing things sustainably. I know we have a water issue, potentially coming down the road. We've got to make sure that we're taking care of that resource and we're doing our due diligence to manage that. It's also about making sure we stay prosperous, making sure we stay attractive. We talk about Super Bowls and Final Fours and all these things. Those are what we built, and that's what's coming to our valley now. I grew up in this valley, born and raised in Tempe, so I've seen it where my 2 blocks over was a cornfield. And now I'm just seeing this amazing, things that are happening and the possibilities that are coming around. So I want to kind of dive into that stuff, continue that growth. But on top of that, we do have challenges. We have challenges in public safety. We got to make sure that we retain our sheriff's office and we retain our Department of Corrections people. We have all these things that make the county to strive and strong. Infrastructure. We talk about our parks. We talk about animal shelters and things like that. These are real solid issues that have to be investigated. And we need to make sure that we're taking care of those things, because these are the things that people enjoy, people want to have. It's the stuff that people don't want to think about. So with that said, we want to make sure that we have that process in place and making sure we're managing it more efficiently.
Maricopa County is one of the largest counties, obviously, in the entire country. It's also the fastest growing in the nation. How do we here at the Chandler Chamber represent about 172,000 businesses here in Chandler? How do we continue to foster from the business community side with foster relationships between the business community and the chamber?
Right. I think once again, it's the attractiveness. Once again, it's the opportunity to showcase what Chandler is developing. It's showcasing cities, to be honest with you. For downtown Chandler, doing what you guys are doing to make it very attractive, you actually are making a tourist, destination, so to speak, which you got to be proud of. But it is the mom and pop stores that are growing, the breweries, the wineries, the restaurants, the retail stores that are popping up that have that Southwest flair. I think it's the opportunities to create that. When I was a council member in the city of Tempe, I took an initiative to have live music within downtown, and I waived fees. We got the council to vote on this, and I wanted to waive fees for people that were starting off with a business, to not take on any more burden, but yet, hey, do live music. We're going to take care of that fee for you at the city level, so you don't have to worry about that stuff. And we try new things, to lessen those fees, to less restrict the businesses so they can prosper. Because at the end of the day, when they prosper, the region prospers, and that's the success that we want to continue.
Well, and Maricopa County continues to be a mecca, not only for small businesses, but we are attracting so many semiconductor and advanced manufacturing businesses here.
Absolutely.
So on the November ballot, Proposition 479 will extend the half-cent transportation tax for Maricopa County. What is your position on that ballot measure and why? Is that important or not important?
Right. No, it is important. When we look at about transportation, we look about moving people, right? So we have jobs in every area, large, small, big, talk about all these places, but we have to get people there. And some people have the mobility to do that on their own, but some people don't. When you talk about hotels, and the service industry that's behind it, that is making those things happen, those are people that might need that transportation. It's crucial. It's actually needed. It's necessary, but it's one of those things that actually shows that you're a city that's taking care of everything. It's the detail of every city that needs to be part of this. And as a region, we need to supply this. It can't be one city is doing it, because if it just stops, we got to connect, right? So it's a partnership. It's an absolute partnership between the county, cities, and the state to make these things happen. And there's also ideas within the business communities to be part of that. We talked about in Tempe, when we talk about streetcar, if you want to be on the streetcar line, we're asking development that's coming down to be part of that infrastructure, to help with that infrastructure. That helps actually extend it a little bit further as they go into Mesa and eventually into Chandler. Those are ideas, especially when you're up against taxes, or maybe you don't have any federal money that's going to be helping it out, but you yet can still extend that line. That's crucial to businesses. Once again, once you make that attractiveness and then the accessibility to get to places, you're actually helping businesses survive. And also, like I said, on top of that, the workers have to survive too. They have to get places. So it's absolutely needed.
Great. So as stewards of the county budget, and it's a big one,
Yeah.
how will you ensure fiscal responsibility is accountability in your decisions?
Right. So as on the board of supervisors, it's like city council. You really have to start asking the questions. For me, I got on city council in Tempe in 2008. I had to go through a real crucial downturn. I had to get a crash course in budgeting. And you talk about how to cut, how to streamline, how to make things happen, but then also how to prosper, how to get things going back again. So, with my background and what I've actually endured, I think it's going to be one of those things that comes natural to me. It's the questions you have to ask for each department. How are you doing? How's staff? How's management? How's process? How's business? It's how we're flowing. You can't go to a police department and ask for a report and wait 6 months to get it. The efficiency has to be there. So you have to make sure that we're good stewards with the money that we have right now. We're playing within that money, and we're actually being competitive with that money. At the end of the day, when you talk about law enforcement or public safety, we have to also be in a position with our officers to be competitive with every other city too. You have to make sure that your budget and money is being used wisely. And also you have to provide the service on top of that. So, there's some real issues that are in the county that we have to look at. Presently, I'm not there yet, but when you get in that seat, those are the decisions you have to make. And when it comes down to possibly cutting services for a time being, looking at what's more efficient, what we have to do to make this county still survive, I've weathered that storm. I've been in that situation, I've been in that seat, and yet I've also been in the seat when we prosper. So I think I'm ready for this challenge. It's gonna be fun, and just take it on.
Great. So what are the services you think that Maricopa County should provide to the residents?
Yeah, I think one of the hot ones I'm seeing right now is animal shelters. Making sure that we're taking care of the existing animals, talking about adoption, talking about, how do we enhance those services, and how do we make them to where they can withstand and not be overcrowded. Those are issues I think touch a lot of people, and making sure that we can do something about that. So that's a hot topic that I'm presently looking at right now. On top of that, it's really taking care of our preserves too, our parks. We have Maricopa County has this great connected park system that actually people enjoy, but there's still things that we have to do to enhance it, to make sure that we're taking care and being good stewards of that wildlife also on top of that. So I go from those two angles down to the core, which is going to be infrastructure, which is a partnership with the city. We're talking about affordable housing. Very crucial. That's the things that we need to capitalize. The county had the opportunity to give cities money that showed programs that were taking initiative towards that. those are things that we can help bolster and help bring things to a level where we're seeing actual change. I know the city of Tempe recently received $10 million from the county because they had a program that was in place to help affordable housing, utilizing money they got from development agreements and called Hometown for All. Those are entities, those are actual roadmaps that other cities and counties can use to make these things actually turn. And when we start turning that, we start making the whole area attractive. But yet again, then we talk about transportation and affordability and all these other things that help businesses. At the root of the problem, people need jobs, people need them in a good location, and they want to work nearby.
Well, and one of the things are when you go to your job, you don't necessarily know when you're crossing over to another city line. You're just going to your job.
Almost school goes into different cities all across the board, yep, for sure.
So you mentioned water earlier. Water is obviously a huge issue here in Arizona. Do you support or oppose reducing the 100-year water supply requirement? And how do you propose that we balance new development with our limitations on our water?
There has to be an actual, and I think they're making steps in this on the plans of development. Making sure how are you using water, what are you doing with the property? Is it xeriscape? Is it desertscape? Is it all these things that are just more natural as opposed to putting in the typical yards that we've seen in a lot of developments? It's kind of questioning those things. When we see growth, though, too, especially even in the downtown area, we're actually seeing better water usage with that high-rise growth compared to the sprawls on the outside of the deserts. So I think there really has to be, and this is one of the things that like everyone else, we're absorbing what we have. We have groundwater, still have Colorado River, we still have the upper basin helping the lower basin. There's a partnership, and there's a interaction and agreement with all those states and how we're going to utilize that. There actually has to come down to a plan. I was talking to an SRP person that's a geochemist in that industry, and he optimistically believes, yes, we can get through this, but there are going to be some squeezes that are going to have to happen to make those things happen. And when you're living in the desert and you have the most vital commodity that has to be shared and has to be shared over 100 years, we have to do some strategical things. And what is that? More to come. I mean, we talk about pipelines of oil that comes from Alaska. Pipelines of water possibly might come from other areas. I don't know. But these are things that just have to be talked about and investigated.
So I know that this is a short period of time, but we've kind of been a little bit all over the board here. Is there anything else that you feel is important for the voters here in Maricopa County, and especially Chandler, that they know about you or that you'll bring to the table to make them vote for you?
Yeah, I think when you talk about growth, you talk about new families, you talk about kids, schools, all that stuff, education. One of the things I'm very proud of is a pre-K program we started in Tempe, affordable pre-K. Basically, it was tiered up for incomes. Certain incomes had free pre-K, middle income could pay like half the price, and then certain income can pay the full price of the pre-K. But the pre-K is of quality. It's not just a daycare center, drop-off, or anything like that. It's a teacher instruction, master teachers with actual student teachers that have a 4-to-1 ratio or a 5-to-1 ratio, whatever it is. But what that does, it provides success for the kid. When we see kids, especially in low-income families, if they don't have the opportunity to go to pre-K, they often fall behind. When they get in the first grade, second grade, fifth grade, by the time they get 6th and 7th grade, they might become an issue of just dropping out before they ever get to high school. That is what we don't want, because that turns into other issues down the road that we're trying to eliminate. When we see a foundation of pre-K, we also see an opportunity for those parents to actually maybe get a job or maybe go back to school and get an education to better themselves and better the family. So when you start with a program, you're talking about foundation of things that we want to resolve that are already being out there right now at a higher level. Let's start at the base. Let's start at the foundation. Give them an opportunity. The kids that we have tracked over a 5-year time period in Tempe, we are seeing the success of these kids already. From a pre-K, already at a first grade level by the time they hit kindergarten, that's the kind of achievement we want to see. That's the kind of opportunity we want to give kids. Because when we talk about this whole thing, it's talking about our future. Talk about what I'm running for office because I want it for my kids. I want my kids to enjoy things. I've seen things, but I want to make things better. That's the reason why we're doing it. that is a ground floor start. And I think that's something we can implement in the county. I think that's something that's huge. Every region should take part of. And when you talk about new families, you talk about attractiveness in every community, that's what is probably near and dear to my heart.
Well, great. That's our future workforce pipeline. So,
For sure, yeah, exactly, huh? Right.
so thank you very much for joining me. Joel Navarro is running for Maricopa County Supervisor District 1.